All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something we all want to do better. Making knowledge actually stick. Learning something so it doesn't just disappear a week later. And our guide for this, believe it or not, it's Jiffy Lube. Yeah, that Jiffy Lube. I know, it sounds kind of weird, but stick with me here because there's this incredible learning machine hiding right under the hood.
So you're probably thinking, what in the world does a 15-minute oil change have to do with cutting-edge brain science? And yeah, that's a totally fair question. On the surface, nothing at all. But, and this is the cool part, it turns out that the very system they use to make sure your oil change is done perfectly every single time, well, it's built on the exact same principles that you can use to master pretty much any skill you can think of.
Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to pull back the curtain on this super unexpected case study. Yeah, we're taking a look inside something they call Jiffy Lube University. And what we're about to find is, honestly, a shockingly smart way to teach people. And look, this isn't just me making some weird connection. Jiffy Lube is actually a primary case study in this amazing book called Make It Stick, The Science of Successful Learning. The authors, who are all cognitive scientists, point to Jiffy Lube as this perfect, real-world example of how to put the science of learning into action.
So what exactly is Jiffy Lube University, or JLU? Well, it's not just, a bunch of boring training videos you have to click through. No way. It's this whole sophisticated program built around one single idea: genuine mastery. Think about it. They're in a high-turnover industry, right? People come and go. But JLU is their secret weapon for making sure every single technician, new or old, does the job right every single time.
All right, let's break down the first couple of principles they use. And this is all about beating that feeling we've all had. You study something, you feel like you've got it, and then poof, the next day, it's gone. Scientists call this the forgetting curve, and Jiffy Lube has two really simple but super powerful ways to fight it.
Okay, the first one is a game changer. It's called retrieval practice. Here's the best way to think about it. Just rereading your notes, that's like looking at a photo of a dumbbell. It's passive. Retrieval practice is actually lifting the weight. It's the struggle, that effort of pulling information out of your memory, that really builds the mental muscle and makes that memory stick.
And Jiffy Lube puts this into practice in a really simple way. Get this. Before a new employee can even go near a customer's car, they have to pass these little knowledge quizzes. And the point isn't about getting an A+. It's a low-stakes way to force them to retrieve the info, to prove they can actually remember it when it counts, not just recognize it on a page.
All right, technique number 2 is called spaced practice. And you'll get this right away. It is the complete opposite of cramming for a test. When you pull an all-nighter, this is not that. By spreading your learning out over time, you actually let your brain forget a little bit. And that sounds bad, but it's not. Because when you come back to it, your brain has to work harder to pull it back up. And that effort is what locks it into long-term memory for good. And of course, Jiffy Lube builds this right into their system. Training isn't some boring one-and-done seminar. Nope, the modules are broken up into chunks over time, and employees have to circle back to topics periodically to refresh their knowledge. It's all about that intentional spacing, making sure the learning doesn't just evaporate after day one. Okay, now we're getting into the really interesting stuff, because the next part is honestly a little counterintuitive. The whole JLU system is based on this idea that if you make learning feel harder right now, it becomes way more powerful and long-lasting later. They have a great name for this: desirable difficulties.
So one of these desirable difficulties is a technique called interleaving. Now, normally when we learn something, we do what's called blocking. You practice skill A over and over and over until you master it. Then you move on to skill B. Interleaving says, nope, let's mix it all up. You practice a little bit of A, then some C, then B, then back to A.
You can see the difference right here. Typical training is nice and neat, but the Jiffy Lube way looks a little chaotic, right? So why on earth would they do that? Well, think about it. A real garage is totally unpredictable. You don't know what kind of car with what kind of problem is going to roll in next. Interleaving forces the brain to learn how to adapt, to choose the right procedure at the right time, just like in the real world.
The next desirable difficulty is called generation. And this one is all about productive struggle. It's the simple idea of trying to solve a problem before you're shown the solution. So instead of just being handed the answer on a silver platter, you have to try to figure it out first. And even if you're totally wrong, that effort, that struggle, it primes your brain to really lock in the correct answer when you finally see it.
And yep, you guessed it, Jiffy Lube does this all the time. A new technician might be asked, hey, how would you solve this problem? Or try to explain the steps to me first.
They're forced to generate an answer from their own brain. And that initial struggle makes the real answer feel like a revelation. It just clicks in a way it never would have otherwise.
Okay, so we've got all these techniques for locking knowledge into your brain. But there's one final piece of the puzzle, and it might be the most important one. It's about taking what's in your head and making it happen in the real world. This is how we overcome the single biggest trap in all of learning.
And here it is. This is the big one, the illusion of knowing. We have all fallen for this. It's that feeling you get when you watch a YouTube tutorial and the person makes it look so easy and you're thinking, oh yeah, I got this. I could totally do that. But we all know that thinking you can do something and actually being able to do it, well, they're two completely different universes.
So how do you fight that illusion? With two things, elaboration and feedback. Now, elaboration is just a fancy word for explaining it, or even better, doing it. You have to actually try to perform the skill. And then comes the feedback part, getting immediate, specific corrections from an expert who can tell you exactly what you're doing right and what you need to fix.
And this brings us to what is basically the final boss at Jiffy Lube University, the floor test. Look at how this brings everything together. First, you have to pass the quiz. That's retrieval. Then you have to actually go out and perform the skill on a real car. That's elaboration. All while a certified trainer is watching you, giving you that instant crucial feedback. This is the moment that shatters that illusion of knowing and forges real, actual skill.
So what's the bottom line here? For Jiffy Lube, it's huge. By using real cognitive science, they turn employee training, which most companies see as just a cost, into a powerful competitive advantage. It's how they guarantee quality. It's how they build trust, and that's what keeps customers coming back.
But here's the best part. This isn't just about changing oil. This is your toolkit now. You can use these exact same principles for anything you want to learn. A new language, a musical instrument, coding, it's all the same. Test yourself, space it out, mix it up, try to figure it out on your own first, and then try to teach it or explain it to somebody else. That's the formula. So I'll leave you with this one last thought. Real, effective learning, it isn't supposed to feel easy. It's often supposed to feel a little bit hard, a little bit of a struggle. So the question for you is, now that you know about the power of these desirable difficulties, what are you going to do with them?